I have been to the place called Lyme Regis in Dorset. It is 1 hour away from London. It is a coastal town near the sea. The beach is very rocky and it has a big wall of rocks called the Cobb. You can't really see the sea from there. There is a long walk down a narrow road to the sea, and on one side of the road you see fossil shops. Lyme Regis is famous for these fossils. Once in the 19th century, a paleontologist called Charles Smithson comes to Lyme Regis. He is with his fiancée, Ernestina Freeman. Charles is an aristocrat. Ernestina was, however, from a wealthy upper middle class family, very rich, but below Charles in class. It looked like Charles and Ernestina are a good match. At the beach, on the Cobb, they see a wild, eccentric woman standing on the rocks, looking out at the sea. Every day she stands there, like crazy, and people tell them this is the French lieutenant's whore. She was the mistress of a French sailor, and every day she is standing there waiting for her lover, but he has abandoned her. This is the story, a very romantic story for us. But in the Victorian period, she is a fallen woman. She is an outcast. The people do not talk to her. And her name is Sarah Woodruff. Charles is intrigued by this woman. She is very beautiful, but eccentric. Charles tries to get close to her, and he is infatuated, even though he is engaged to marry Ernestina. Sarah walks in the Undercliff, which is an area of wilderness. Nobody goes there. Sometimes she sleeps there. Charles meets her there. And one day, Sarah tells Charles her past story about her lover. I will tell you a secret. Actually, Sarah is not telling him the truth, which Charles doesn't know now. Later, he will find out the truth. At this time, Sarah is the caretaker of an old wealthy woman called Mrs. Poultney. Mrs. Poultney is a very hypocritical, pretentious, snobbish woman who's pretending that she is very religious. Sarah misleads Mrs. Poultney into thinking that she is still doing some shady things. She lets Mrs. Poultney know that she is walking in the Undercliff. Mrs. Poultney warns her first, and then Mrs. Poultney dismisses her. At this time, there are two servants, Sam and Mary. They're also in love, secretly, and they come to know that Charles is secretly meeting Sarah in the Undercliff. Charles gets Sarah to leave Lyme Regis immediately, and she goes to Exeter. At this time, Charles is disillusioned with his relationship with Ernestina. Ernestina is a woman who conforms to Victorian values. She never questions the social norms. Compared to Sarah, Ernestina appears rather dull and shallow to Charles. Ernestina is devoted to Charles, but Charles wants to break off the engagement. He goes to London, tells Ernestina's father, Mr. Freeman, that Charles may not get the inheritance that he hoped he would from an uncle. That wealthy uncle is now going to marry. So Charles suggests that he may have to break off the engagement. But Mr. Freeman does not mind. He wants Charles to marry Ernestina and take up his business. Now Charles is in a fix. On his way back from London, he meets some friends, goes out drinking with them, and hires a prostitute who looks like Sarah. In the hotel room, this prostitute has a child in the next room, and Charles finds out that her name is Sarah. He can't take it. He throws upon her pillow, lets the child play with his watch, and leaves her. Charles is greatly agitated. He can't go back to Ernestina. He's thinking. And then he goes to Exeter. From Exeter, he has to take a train. He has to take a train to Lyme Regis, where Ernestina is waiting for him. But he does not want Sarah either. He's greatly confused. Now, what will he do? You know that he's in Exeter now, and Sarah is there in Exeter. The narrator, however, tells us that Charles went straight to Lyme, married Ernestina, and they had 7 children. It seems he never saw Sarah again. What? Are you disappointed? Is that what you wanted? The narrator now intervenes and tells us, no, that is not quite what happened. Charles stayed in Exeter and the next day met Sarah. He's hoping to end this affair in a very respectable manner. But when he sees Sarah in her hotel room, he ends up making passionate love to her. But then he also realizes something. He realizes that Sarah is not a virgin. The story about the French lieutenant was a lie. Sarah was lying to him. Apparently, she was making up this story because she wanted deliberately to live like a fallen woman. Sarah is a woman who values her freedom and identity. She's creating her own identity and she lives the life that she wants, even if it means being an outcast. She is by choice living the life of a fallen woman. She's so fiercely free, and that is why she's attractive. Charles is confused and agonized. He decides to leave Ernestina and choose Sarah. He breaks off his engagement, much to the dismay of Ernestina, and then takes a train to Exeter to meet Sarah. On the way to Exeter, can you imagine who he is traveling with? Our narrator. The narrator is now a character, and he's traveling with Charles at Exeter. Charles is shocked because he can't find Sarah. Sarah has disappeared. Charles looks for Sarah everywhere. He even takes the help of some private detectives. When he fails to find Sarah, he travels abroad. He is upset. But then, at that time, Sam and Mary marry, and one day they find Sarah in London. And they inform Charles's lawyer, and Charles comes back to London. He goes to meet her. At this time, Sarah is living in the house of the artist D.G. Rossity as Mrs. Roughwood. She is his assistant, Rossity's assistant. When Charles meets her, it looks like she's happy. She does not want Charles. Then Charles sees a child, Sarah's child, and he realizes it is his child. He embraces Sarah with love. Maybe they will now be together. That is the second ending. The first ending was he married Ernestina and lived there happily. The second ending is maybe Sarah and Charles will be together. Wait. The narrator is again intruding. And now the narrator has another idea. He sets back the time and gets Charles to enter the house once again. Charles now talks to Sarah, who is as enigmatic as ever. She does not reveal anything. Charles sees the child but does not realize it is his own child. And he leaves Sarah, disgusted with himself. Well, at the end, Charles has changed. In this third ending also, there is some improvement. Charles has changed. He has transformed from an immature, confused fossil hunter to a mature man with a mature perspective on life. And Sarah, all along, was the powerful woman who represents freedom. That is the amazing novel, French Lieutenant's Woman, by John Fowles.